Hello everyone, I welcome you all to C2B. In this video, I shall be discussing glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, more famously known as G6PD deficiency. It will be discussed in a clinical vignette form. This is a part of video series where I am discussing some topics on carbohydrate metabolisms. I have already covered glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, TCA cycle, and glycogen metabolism. The link of these will be available in the description box below. Without further ado, let's get started. Let's first see the clinical vignette. A 12-year-old African American boy with no past medical history goes out to dinner with his family at a local Mexican restaurant. He eats a traditional central Mexican dish made with fava beans. 2 days later, he becomes pale and begins to complain of back pain. He also had tea-colored urine over the last 24 hours. His mother accompanies him to the pediatrician where a peripheral blood smear is obtained. And there is the figure of that peripheral blood smear. Let's see the questions. Question 1. What is the most likely diagnosis? Give supportive evidence to your diagnosis. In which tissue is the pathway involved active? Enumerate the various precipitating factors. What is the biochemical explanation for the disease involved? Let's see one by one. Answer 1. This case is most consistently with the diagnosis of glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency. Glucose 6-phosphate is the first committed enzyme in the HMP shunt, and this pathway functions to generate NADPH for neutralizing oxidizing agents. Let's give the supportive evidence. Firstly, the tea-colored urine and the back pain are indicative of hemoglobinuria, meaning that this case is an intrinsic hemolytic anemia. Also, the abnormal RBCs on peripheral blood smear and triggering events can be used to further explore the differential. The peripheral blood smear shows Heinz bodies as well as Bite cells, both of which are classical findings in G6PD. Heinz bodies are aggregates of denatured hemoglobin which occur due to oxidizing stress in G6PD deficiency. So basically जो G6PD deficiency है उसमें oxidative stress बढ़ जाएगा and that will result in the breakdown of hemoglobin, and that denatured hemoglobin is actually the Heinz body. But जब ये RBC will cross the spleen, splenic macrophages, they bite, and that is what gives the appearance of bitten appearance to the RBC. Now, in which tissue this pathway is actively involved? The major significance of pentose phosphate pathway are mainly two. Number 1, to generate NADPH, and number 2 will be to form ribose. पहले to generate NADPH देखते हैं, which acts as a reducing equivalent in tissue specializing reductive biosynthesis. Hence, HMP shunt is active in all those tissues like liver, adipose tissue, adrenal cortex, thyroid, RBC, testis, lactating mammary gland, जहां पे reductive biosynthesis is active. मतलब fatty acid synthesis, steroid synthesis, amino acid metabolism via glutamate dehydrogenase. Also in those tissues where RBC can be synthesized. That means virtually in all tissues. Now, it is not necessary to have a completely functioning pentose phosphate pathway for a tissue to synthesize ribose 5-phosphate. सिर्फ non-oxidative reversible half of HMP shunt भी active हो सकता है. The precipitating factors for hemolysis in G6PD deficiency can be drugs, infection, consumption of fava beans or broad beans. Now, the drugs can be antimalarial, sulfonamides, nitrofurantoin, and analgesics, antiarrhythmics, dapsone, vitamin C, vitamin K. It's a long list. These are just a few for you to remember. Let's now see the biochemistry behind this. The hexose monophosphate shunt, also known as pentose phosphate pathway, is broadly divided into two halves, which are not exact halves, but the first part is known as the irreversible oxidative half, reversible and non-oxidative half. Let's see. Irreversible or the oxidative half. Here, the glucose is converted to glucose 6-phosphate. The enzyme is same, hexokinase of glycolysis. Glucose 6-phosphate is then converted to 6-phosphoglucono-delta-lactone, that to 6-phosphogluconate, and finally to ribulose 5-phosphate, which will be converted to ribose 5-phosphate. And that is how in the very first half only we form both NADPH and ribose, which are two byproducts of the HMP shunt. The NADPH formed here will be utilized to convert the oxidized glutathione to its reduced form, and that reduced glutathione will further be required to convert hydrogen peroxide to water. That means the NADPH is necessary for RBC protection against the oxidative stress, and the HMP shunt in the RBC is the only means of generating NADPH. And an oxidative stress such as fava beans, infections, or a drug such as trimethoprim or sulfamethoxazole is administered to a patient with G6PD deficiency, it precipitates hemolytic anemia. Let's see how. Somebody who does not have G6PD will not form NADPH. In them, the glutathione will not be converted to the reduced state. As a result, there will be scarcity of glutathione and hydrogen peroxide concentration will keep on increasing in the RBC, ultimately resulting in the denaturation of the lipid membrane and hemolysis. That is what precipitates the acute hemolysis in such patients. G6PD deficiency, however, is the most common enzyme deficiency known, and it is also the most common cause of hemolytic anemia under enzyme deficiencies worldwide. Also note, glutathione peroxidase shown here is a selenium requiring enzyme. Glutathione reductase has FAD as its prosthetic group. जो erythrocyte glutathione reductase है, that is used to assess somebody's vitamin B2 status. Likewise, अगर मुझे किसी का vitamin B1 status check करना है, we will go for erythrocyte transketolase. So, in a nutshell, G6PD deficiency is an X-linked recessive disorder, an increased prevalence among individuals of African, Mediterranean, and Middle Eastern descent, and it is to this reason we say that G6PD deficiency is rather protective towards the Plasmodium falciparum, because the life cycle of the Plasmodium falciparum corresponds with the normal 120 days of the RBC. Due to the oxidative stress, the life of the RBC is itself reduced. As a result, the Plasmodium falciparum will no longer be able to thrive in the RBC. As a result, the Plasmodium falciparum will no longer be able to survive in the RBC. It causes decrease in NADPH in the RBCs. That leads to hemolytic anemia due to poor RBC defense against oxidizing agents. Neonatal hyperbilirubinemia, acute hemolysis, and chronic hemolysis can be seen, which are usually characterized by weakness, back pain, pallor, jaundice, and splenomegaly. So this is Dr. Sonam Bhatia signing off. These are my social media handles for further updates. Thank you and God bless you all.